I see the stars aligning for Derek McInnes and Hearts. That was by a 1K Jackson. What do you talk us through?
Look, do you know what? The column itself is, acknowledging what Hearts are, the great work that's going on at Hearts. Obviously, they hit the top, and it just feels like a really significant weekend because they've been obviously going toe-to-toe with Celtic in terms of the points, but to actually go a couple of points clear at the top, that just feels significant.
Yeah.
And you wonder, and this is the kind of crux of the column, you wonder if he's just arrived in the right place at the right time in a sort of a one-off season where Celtic, and I'm sure we'll talk about this, Dan, because I think you've got your own views, Celtic looks stale. Of whatever else you want to say about Celtic, there does feel as if there's a staleness that's creeping in there. And yes, they've been getting the points on the board, but the performances just don't feel quite right. Brendan Rodgers doesn't feel quite right. It does look as if this might be his last season, because there's been nothing to suggest that a deal is on the table that's going to be signed. So it just creates a little bit of vulnerability where Celtic are concerned. And Rangers are an absolute bin fire, aren't they, under Russell Martin? So for all those reasons, and the fact that Tony Bloom has just arrived on the scene, and there's a sort of energy about Hearts, and there's the investment, and there's Jamestown Analytics, and there's Derek McInnes, this guy that Aberdeen fans couldn't wait to get shot of, that Rangers fans, they seem to think their club was too big for Derek McInnes mistakenly, and here he is peering down on everybody else from the top of the table right now. Look, can they sustain it? Who knows? That's crystal ball stuff. But I think they've put themselves in a really good position. Derek is a really experienced, clever campaigner. And, it was interesting. I was actually speaking to Ryan Stevenson. I was hoping that Ryan might come on the show tonight, but he's currently in transit going his halls.
Otherwise engaged.
But we were having a chat, and he said, look, do you know what? He absolutely loved, in the build-up to the game against Falkirk at the weekend, he said every time you heard Derek McInnes speaking, he was actually making stuff up. He was coming away with, everybody's looking to see Hearts fall, get tripped up, lose a game. And I've not seen anybody say that. It's quite the contrary. It's I think everybody in Scottish football has been waiting for somebody to come, a disruptor, to get on, to get in the mix at the top of the table, to ruffle feathers and do something different. And so I think there's an enormous amount of sort of goodwill aimed towards Hearts. But Ryan was making the point. He says that message wasn't for anybody else. That message was for the 20 odd players inside that dressing room, because he wanted them waking up every day, looking at the headlines. He's right, they're out to get us, and it's that siege mentality that he's trying to create. And it's very similar to what Sir Alex Ferguson did before he was Sir Alex, up at Pittodrie, where he created this West Coast bias sort of syndrome, and his players bought it hook, line, sinker. And Ryan Stevenson was making the point that he's compared Derek McInnes to the old school guys, the guys that really understand how to get into people's mind, how to bring people with you, how to be a leader of men. And, I think I'm not saying Hearts are pushing at an open door here, Dan, this season, but I think they've got a real opportunity to do something that could be historic. And, these things happen from time to time, don't they? And in Tony Bloom, you've got a guy with a track record of, he's been there, he's done it. He knows what he's doing, he knows how to do it. And he's got a few quid in his pocket. So, I just think that Hearts opening up, and it's only a couple of points, it's really early days, and we're only 6 games into the season. I get all of that and I agree with it. But I do at the same time feel there is something happening at Tynecastle. And if they can sustain this and they don't have European football to distract them or cause pile-ups in terms of fixtures, but I just feel that they've got a real opportunity to, you already you look at it and say, do you expect Hearts to at least finish second? I think you might already be reaching or coming very close to that conclusion, because Rangers show no signs of being able to sort themselves out. And Hearts are sitting pretty right now. And they're building momentum. And even at the start, when the performances probably weren't what Derek McInnes was looking for from his team, he was still winning games. So he was putting the pieces of the jigsaw together, but he was still getting the results. And now Hearts look a very different side from that one. They look as if he knows what his best 11 looks like, and the players are getting familiar with one another. And yeah, there's definitely something building. We made the mistake of looking at Aberdeen last season, Dan, and thinking something spectacular might be happening up there, and everybody went a bit early, myself included, on that, because look at what happened. So you don't want to make the same mistake this time around with Hearts. But I just feel you've got a manager there that knows Scottish football inside and out. He's got every trick in the book. He knows what he's doing. I don't expect to see Hearts doing what Aberdeen did when they fell off a cliff last season. You get the feeling that Hearts will hang around here for a while.
The thing is, I remember saying last year, or we talked about it last year with Aberdeen, maybe there'll be a perfect storm where, Celtic and Rangers are going through a transitional period. They're both a bit rubbish. We've seen it all around Europe, Leicester and England, and there's been countless other examples, AZ Alkmaar in Holland, Wolfsburg and Stuttgart in Germany, obviously Saint-Gilloise in Belgium, Montpellier in France. It's been 41 years now, or it will be 41 years if a non-Old Firm team doesn't win it this year.
Mm-hmm.
Look, maybe this is. Who knows?
Well, that's what I'm talking about. You just wonder if this is the season. Derek McInnes is where Derek McInnes had to be this particular season, because the stars are aligning. Who knows? But I mean, and it's certainly, and I'm sure we'll discuss, the issues that Celtic have got at the minute, the issues that Rangers have got at the minute. But you just look at Hearts, and you don't see any reason for them not progressing and continuing to pick up results.
Yeah.
I mean, here we are 6 games into the season. They've scored 15 goals. Celtic have only scored 8. So Hearts are nearly doubling their goals tally. That's significant as well. There's all sorts of different dimensions to this, but the big picture is that Hearts are in a really strong place.